Hello TE831 and welcome to our last week 15 video. So this week I want to close out the course and just provide some summative thoughts reflecting on my own experience as a course instructor, but as well as help you sort of think through your next steps, not only for the course, but as a pedagogue who wants to use technology, who wants to rethink their instructional practice, and who maybe even wants to change the instructional paradigm from which you teach. So here's a quick agenda in our, natural form. I'll provide a sort of next steps about week 15 and what you need to do moving into finals week. I'll preview when you should expect the Remix Remediate case study assignments back. And then I'll sort of speak a little bit about a metaphor that I'm finding really captivating to think about practice. And that is a folding, unfolding, refolding metaphor of instructional practice. And I'll speak to what that means not only as an instructor for this course, but how it may influence and help the way you think about your own instructional practice. And then I'll preview our last class and close out with some peripheral next steps, mainly that your voice is heard through the course instructor evaluation system through Michigan State. So, reflecting on TE831 as a course experience, reflection is playing a very large role in the last 2 weeks of the course. In week 15, I'm asking you to really begin to think, brainstorm, and start to draft both your Techno Manifesto, or reflecting on TE831 as an experience, which is an alphabetic print and text-based essay of your reflection of the course, as well as thinking about sort of TE831, the audio reflection on the Remix Remediate assignment. This audio reflection is different from the Techno Manifesto insofar as it asks you to create a reflection solely through sound. So thinking about how you're sort of learning about remixing and remediating instruction with technology, what are the soundscapes of that reflection? And in particular, what was sort of the disciplinary-based problem that you faced in the Remix and Remediate assignment? Many folks have asked me if they could use visuals too. Sure. But sound is really what I'm going for, and not sound solely in terms of like you talking about your reflection, but sort of the sounds you infuse within that reflection that help me sort of hear how you're thinking about your instructional practice. The Techno Manifesto, as I laid out in the Week 14 opener on our wiki site, is a text-based essay that really asks you to think about the so what question. How does this course influence your portfolio moving into the Master's of Teaching certificate, as well as thinking about your sort of instructional practice and your relationship with technology more broadly. The Remix and Remediate assignments will be back to you the weekend of May 2nd. So that's this upcoming weekend. Really thinking about, there are 11 of you, and each of these are around, 6,000 to 7,000 words. So I'm reading about 25 to 26 pages per person, which is just a lot. And I want to give really substantive feedback to each of you. So please bear with me as you sort of think about that reflection time. So I want to now reflect on a recent metaphor that came sort of through the shuffle in my email, and it's from a blog essay by Pierce Durst when he wrote for Hybrid Pedagogy. If you don't follow Hybrid Pedagogy, you should. It's a really great blog that sort of thinks through what it means to be a digital pedagogue. But he uses this metaphor of folding, unfolding, and refolding, and in the particular sort of uses this idea and image of the paper crane to think about the building, construction, deconstruction element of the humanities classroom. I like this insofar as folding to me really resonates with the theory of our course, how we started thinking about in the very early weeks how technology mediates who we are. Then we thought about sort of the unfolding, which was the practice. How do we sort of see these understandings of technology and teaching with technology and subject matter? How do we see these transform into instructional practice across the continuum? And we really have looked K-12. From the pre-K literacy center to the physics classroom, we have covered quite the gambit. Finally, Durst thinks about the refolding. So thinking about the particulars of the line, the shape, the feel of the paper, the materiality of not only the paper crane, but of the table you fold upon. And this helped me think about the implications. So what do I want from you? What do I want from myself as a course instructor moving forward? And as I reflect on TE 831 as an experience, I want to go back to Kathy Davidson's Now You See It. And as she closes a chapter in the first section, she writes, this course that she was teaching didn't look or feel like any course I'd ever taught before. It had no standard field, discipline, topic, method, or conclusion, and for that matter, no standard teacher either. The semester ended not with a body of knowledge mastered, but with a certain skepticism about easy answers to questions. And so as we unfold from this course and we move on not only to finish the year out with our students, but for some of us to finish out the master's program, I want you to think about that unfolding. For many of you, this was the first time where you were a teacher to your colleague and peer. You were peer editing. You were giving feedback. You were working as a professional learning community member. I also want us to think about the unfolding as many of you reflect on what actually happened in the Remix and Remediate assignment. It's amazing to see the graphs, the illustrations, the instructional materials, the materiality of what you did. In an online course, that might not necessarily mean as much as it would in a face-to-face course, but I really felt like I was there to unfold, if you will, with you and see how your students reacted to some of your first forays into teaching school subject matter with instructional technology. And I also just want to close and think about, as an instructor, the generative types of thinking and sort of, conceptualization that you have made me think about. And when I think about this particular metaphor of folding, unfolding, and refolding, and we think about the refolding that we all do, I want us to push back against speech and say maybe the paradigm from which we teach isn't about technological integration, but about technological visibility and making the technologies that mediate our lives and our classrooms more visible than ever as we sort of rethink teaching in the 21st century. So as always, I want to say thank you for such an amazing semester. If you have any questions or just want to keep in touch and chat, please email me, wargojohn@msu.edu. I'm very active on Twitter. Thank you very much for those of you who followed me. For those of you who haven't but who are interested now that the semester is closed, my handle's @wargojohn. And I also encourage you to share your feedback and your reflections on the Michigan State University's Student Instructional Rating System, or SIRS, as I am always looking for ways to continuously increase my own effectiveness as an instructor. I wish you the very, very best, and thank you so much for an incredible and thought-provoking semester.